Thanks for joining me in another card. Today I am using the W+9 Beautiful Bouquets, the Ranunculus, and I'm also using a flower from the W+9, the Modern Peonies. And later I think I add the Simon Says Stamp Hydrangea Bloom just to add a little bit more to it. I'm using some Versamark ink and inking up those florals. The Ranunculus stamp is probably one of my all-time favorites. I just love that stamp. And now I am putting over some clear embossing powder. Later on you will see that I actually scrapped scrapped the image on the other side and decided not to do it in the black ink, and I wanted to do some heat embossing and watercolor it. So I'm heating it with my heat tool now to melt the embossing powder. Almost after I've finished with all of the embossing, and then I added the distress inks. I really hated it at first, you'll see that. I actually stopped filming because I really was just not a fan. Okay, this is where I add in the Simon Says Stamp Hydrangea stamp. And so anyways, I decided I needed to stop filming because I really just did not like it. And then, I just decided, why not? Why not keep going and see if I can turn something that, I wasn't too pleased with into something that I love. And I actually, I was happy with the finished product. It wasn't my all-time favorite card, but I did turn it around and turned it into something that I did like. Now, right now, I'm really just trying to fill up the space and add as much, embossing powder to this so that when I go to add the distress ink, it will all show up and sort of glisten, and you'll pick up on all of the different, the glistening, shall we say, from the embossing powder. All right, here we go with the Ranunculus stamp again. I don't think I got it on camera in the beginning, but I did use the EK Success powder tool so that the embossing powder would only stick to the Versamark ink and nowhere else. Alright, so I think that is all of the stamping, finally. And I'm going to hit it with my heat tool again and melt all of that embossing powder, so then we can have some fun with the distress inks. Okay, so that is the Lucky Clover distress ink, and I think I just put down the Dusty Concord and the Crushed Olive. I also used Wilted Violet and Mermaid Lagoon. Splitting it with some water. And there you can see the black ink image that I started with, and then halfway through decided, you know what, I want to use some embossing powder and really make this sparkle. And there I am. I just keep putting it back into the distress ink. And at this point, I'm not happy with it, really. And I keep pushing it in there. That's me like, oh, I don't really like it. And I'm trying to get it with my heat tool, see if I can go over it. Dip it again. I really do. I kept I kept going, and then there was some mudding going on of the colors. And about this time, I think I turned off the camera. Yes, and so then I turned the camera back on after I smooshed it some more, and I just kept going with it. And I cut the image in half. So there are the two pieces. And I decided I would make 2 cards with the 2 pieces. And I love cool colors. That's just something about me. For some reason, I'm attracted to the greens, blues, and purples. Those are my favorites. And so I used those colors. Now I die cut the word thanks, I think about 6 times. You can see that top thanks there, it has a little sparkle to it. I did heat emboss it with more of that clear embossing powder. And I am using the multimedia matte adhesive, and I'm going to put 3 of those die cuts together to add a little bit of dimension to the card. There you see me putting another one right on top. And I have it positioned how I want it, and then I add the others, and so I end up, with 2 final sentiments, 2 thanks sentiments that each have 3 glued together. And again, that is to add the dimension to the card, so it's not so plain and flat. It kind of jumps off of the card a little bit. I didn't want to do a different color just because I wanted the blues, greens, and purples to be the pop of the card, and this to be somewhat muted. So there are the sentiments that I glued together, and now I'm trying to decide how I want to position the actual watercolored piece onto the card base. And I used, again, to add dimension, I used some 3D foam, and you can see the original image on the back of the watercolor paper there. So I put the foam on, I peel off the back so then I can stick it onto the card base. Obviously I do the same thing with the second card, and now I am going to add the sentiment right on top. Then finally I decided that I wanted to add a little bit more pop, and instead of using the Nuvo drops or anything like that, I decided just to use some of the, I think it's Wilted Violet Distress ink. I just added some water, and I'm using my brush and my acrylic block to spritz the card to add a little bit more pizzazz to the card. And that's all. I hope you enjoy. Thank you.